Welcome to class today. I'm your teacher, Mr. Cambrodia. Today we're going to be learning about fractions. Well, actually, frog fractions. Like crazy frog. But a lot less crazy and a lot more infarctions. Wait a second. But before we even begin to break down frog fractions, if you haven't played Frog Fractions 1, 2, or Glitter Maiden Grove, get the fuck off of this video and go play them and then come back. This is not a like warning. Just get off the video. This is a command. You will get off the video if you haven't played these games, and then come back. So let's get into it. You boot up Frog Fractions, and you see what appears to be an educational game teaching young children about fractions and math. Let's start playing it. You enter the game, and you are a blue poison dart frog protecting his fruit from bugs. You have a little tongue that you can shoot at the bugs, and as you lick them, their fractions will be added to your total score in the top, which means something. I'm not sure what, but it means something up there. Shortly after you kill all the bugs, a menu will pop up, allowing you to upgrade the frog each round so you can get a lot of upgrades. However, a lot of them crossed out and you don't know what they do. Much like how you don't know if I'm wearing actual suit pants right now. You don't have to know. I'll never tell. So you go through each wave buying the upgrades that appeals to you. My personal favorite is the static cling tongue, allowing you to grab multiple bugs at once through the power of electricity. However, the gameplay loop is going to change one wave, and it's going to go from you clicking on the bugs to hit them with your tongue to typing in certain words to see how fast you can type them before they get to the fruit. This is not only a math educational game, but a typing one. Didn't know that shit, did you? Now you do. Eventually, you'll unlock the turtle, allowing you to swim around in the pool to gather more fruits that are dropping instead of just the one in the middle. Then after that, you're going to get the dragon, which allows you to go vertically and as well as horizontal. As before, the turtle only allowed you to go horizontally. But as you play with the dragon around, you start thinking to yourself, I wonder if there's potentially more to this game. So you start messing around and flying the dragon around the screen until eventually you go too far down and then you end up under the water.
Oh. We have a billion fruit?
And you'll see all of the fruit that have been dropping into the water from the previous rounds bundled up at the bottom. And you go down there and you grab a whole fucking stack of fruit until you got like a billion of them. Literally, it says like a billion. I'm not lying. It says like a billion. The next wave occurs and you can buy the warp drive. So you buy the warp drive and the game fucking changes. Instead of defending your fruit from the bugs, you're now flying through space on a dragon going through asteroids.
What? What the hell is going on? These aren't even fractions anymore.
And there's a bunny talking to you, saying, glad you can make it, Lieutenant Hop. We're dealing with a severe infestation. Now, I can only assume that Lieutenant Hop is the frog. It's probably not the dragon, but you never know. You go through all these asteroids, dodging them, and eventually getting to the end of this portion. And then you end up going to Mars. But more importantly, Bug Mars. You go to Bug Mars, where you will then see a big mecha robot, and he's looking at you like you're a goddamn snack, and you cut off all of his tentacles with your tongue, and then he arrests you. Now, the only logical place to go from here, of course, would be to defend yourself in a bug court of law. So you defend yourself in a bug court of law. I would like to also say, while you're fighting the robot, Abraham Lincoln asks you if you think that this robot knows anything about dealing with fractions. Maybe. Probably. It's probably better than me. He's a computer. I'm not fucking good at math. Dude, I struggle with fucking, like, pre-cal and calculus. The game then turns into a dialogue option game where you have to pick the right option inside of this court of law, otherwise you will be arrested. They're charging you with the fact that you committed B&E into their native habitat, but also they're charging you with, dare I say it, purloining their delicious fruits. That is some bullshit. Those were my fruits, you fucker. We didn't do shit, Your Honor. I was just riding my dragon. I plead amphibious, you fuck. Thanks to the fact that Lieutenant Hop is a silver-tongued devil, you can talk your way out of it and actually become a citizen of Bug Mars. You're going to have to answer some grueling questions, such as the question on the series Bug Jersey Shore, what was Bug Snooky's favorite flavor of ice cream? Well, do you know it? Fuck. You then sign your working holiday visa and I chose to shine... Fuck. You then sign your holiday working visa and I chose to sign mine with the accurate description of Mr. Cool Guy 25.
You know, I can't disagree.
After you're sent away, you immediately start killing bugs again because those commie bastards want to take your fruit. And after you defeat that wave, you go down, much like you did in the first level. and you're greeted with this very relaxing water exploration section where you are put in a water maze with this very calming music and someone reading the history of boxing behind you and its beginnings. Exploring, you also see some old walrus guys watching TV, and I aspire to be as unbothered as these guys whenever I get older.
Whoa, whoa! What's that? What is that?
That video was comedy gold.
What's that over there?
His son, Andre Felipe.
Of course, it was always Felipe's son.
The punching strategy.
The punching strategy?
After seeing a schoolboy strike another in anger, causing him to thump him in
Who's
the
Unc?
sending him down for the count in the parlance.
You see an Unc over here?
However, as you start exploring more, you'll learn that the beginnings of boxing were so advanced. You see, boxing was originally just a game about boring the other person to death, and there was no physical harm. Not until Andre Felipe came up with the strategy of hitting the other person. Truly groundbreaking strategy, meta-defining strategy. It seemed to be a lot more efficient than trying to bore the other person to death and just waiting that timer out. I would have to agree. You'll start to see more fish and more complex backgrounds as you get later into the maze, and then you'll find a spaceship. Don't ask how it got there, that's not important, okay? All you gotta know is that we're gonna do something with it. If I see a spaceship, I'm gonna touch it. So you take off in the spaceship and you go away from Bug Mars. And then the game turns into a text adventure game, which is fucking insane to me. Naturally, you don't know what to do, so you type help. And you would think that the game would give you actual helpful instructions, right? Wrong.
Type help and press enter.
Yeah, this is a text-based adventure.
What's next? Help. This is a story you interact with by entering simple and some of your own booth. Oh, that was just an example. There are no climb stairs. Okay.
You're so wrong. And I actually really enjoyed this portion because me being 20, about to turn 21, I didn't play a lot of text adventure games in my childhood. Hell, I made a text adventure game for like an 8th grade computer science project. But being able to actually experience like one in its natural environment for the first time, and one that I didn't make because, let's be honest, my text adventure game was shit, was really cool. So you go around from room to room in this ship only based on text and having to visualize it in your mind. And you learn your main goal is to set the nav system back to Bug Mars, and so that way you can go to sleep. So you go from room to room, looking for the possible solutions to put the system nav back to Bug Mars, because Lieutenant Hop doesn't know how to operate it. He's not an engineer, he's just a simple little frog. You go to the quarters, you open the nightstand, and there's a manual in there. You read it, and that makes you feel more comfortable to operate the nav system, so you do it. Then you go to the sleep pod, you realize the sleep pod doesn't have the pink goop it needs. So you go into this hatch that's behind a picture frame, and there's a little dispenser in there, and you pull it, well, no, you fix it, and you pull it, and it dispenses pink goop everywhere, and you get a cup. You put the pink goop in the cup, you put it in the sleeping pod, then you go to sleep. All I'm gonna say is, shit took me like hour and a half to figure out, because I'm a dumbass. None of that shit is intuitive, and I kind of like it. After you go to sleep, you wake up and have this horrible nightmare about being a normal man who's only able to use his normal human tongue to defend the fruits, and you get overran. Luckily, though, Lieutenant Hop wakes up, and then Dragon knocks on your door dressed to the nines and says, "Hey, we're running for president. Put this on." So naturally, the only way that you can run for presidency is to fucking do a DDR minigame. Now, it's a really fun section. In fact, I had to fucking try to get the perfect score, and I didn't do it. But I love this section a lot.
Are we playing Friday Night Frogg?
Honestly, if you're a candidate, how do you fight that shit? You can't. Whenever your opponent busts it down Froggy style, there's no coming back. What is the response to your opponent breaking it down Froggy style? Well, you actually end up winning the presidency in a landslide. That's not surprising whatsoever. And I'm not sure what the actual job of a president is, because quite frankly, that's below my pay grade. I don't know. I'm literally a guy in a, hold on. These are prescribed to me, by the way. I'm just lazy as fuck and don't wear them. I'm literally just a guy in a room reviewing a fucking Frog game. I don't know what presidents do, but after you become president, the main goal of the game becomes to actually produce Bugborn. and you ruin the economy by printing Zorkmids, which is basically the currency that the bugs use. And so you print enough of them to produce as much as you want, and you end up ruining the economy until you can buy a presidential swimming pool, and then you win the game, and the credits roll. Okay, so now that I've just told you the story of Frog Fractions, assuming you've beaten it, you fuck, and if you haven't, click off this video and go play the rest of them. So, I know Frog Fraction seems like a very silly game, but I now want to dive into the actual developer that's behind it and talk about why I love this game so much after playing it. It is not because of the silly little game. I mean, it is because of the silly little games, but it's more so the story behind it and how one man's creativity led to this massive viral instance on the internet that became huge. Jim Crawford is the leading developer of all of the Frog Fractions. He is the main guy behind it. The ideas are usually from him and his friends. After they play it, they kind of have these sessions where they sit down and talk about it. However, Frog Fractions was originally handed to Jim Crawford by his friend Rachel Sala, and she had already done the artwork for a Missile Command clone, which is an old game. And she asked if Jim Crawford would be willing to do the code behind the artwork. And of course he said yes, because that shit just sounds like it's a lot of fun. But something very strange happened, because Rachel Sala eventually had to leave and go to college, which left pretty much Jim Crawford with all of the freedom intellectually that he wanted to have on the game and do whatever the fuck he wanted with it. So what was a two-person project became a one-person project, and it was all of his ideas that he just started throwing in there randomly that became like these huge hits, which is something you don't see a lot nowadays, because games are heavily monitored, whether it be through investors or just the general gaming market. So whenever this game back came out in 2012, and it was a true spectacle because it was just one man letting his creativity flow through all of the fucking pores in his body and adding whatever he wanted, and it truly made something special. There was no inhibitants for him, which is the two main reasons I love this game. Number one is the fact that the creativity behind it was not hindered at all. But number two was the kind of message behind it. A lot of the messages that Frog Fractions has in its mini games is kind of a commentary on games now, for example. I mean, this game was made in 2012, but a lot of it applies to games now. That part where you're defending yourself in the court of law against the bug judge, right? You can pick any one of those options, and it's right. There is no wrong option. And the whole joke of that is that there are so many games that are like, hey, here's this whole fucking dialogue tree that you can go through, except only one of them actually progresses the conversation. So Jim Crawford's like, fuck it, we're just gonna make all of them right, all right? Whatever you pick is correct, which is also hilarious because you're making up the history of Bugmars as you pick those options, because that's canonically what's happening. When this game came out in 2012, it was a fucking huge hit. I mean, it was being shared on forums, the Yogscast played it, articles were written about it, and it makes sense as to why. Because something like this only happens once in a while, where one man creativity or one person's creativity is bottled into this tight passion project that they love so much. Nothing about this game makes sense, and that's why I love it. I am going to make a video on Frog Fractions 2 and Frog Fraction Glittermitten Grove, and you should go play them before I do, because Frog Fractions is a wonderful franchise. But I really think that's all I have to say. I'm glad that you guys watched till the very end. If you've gotten to this point, thank you so much, and I am having a blast this year making videos. But I hope that if you enjoyed, you can like and subscribe. That would mean the absolute world to me, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching.